That's a good ball for Peter Weir. Now Aberdeen with McGee making the break and Hewitt waiting in the middle. Hewitt!
Countdown to Kickoff is brought to you and supported by Saltire Energy, the global market leader in specialist drilling equipment rental. And also by Craig International, a truly global company with 10 offices strategically placed around the world. The future of global procurement is right here and in their safe hands. And ABTV is also sponsored by Steadfast Scotland, manufacturers of high-integrity stud bolts and special fasteners, globally recognised as your market leader and solution provider for bespoke quality bolting and safety critical components. Tomorrow, we're back at Pittodrie, and after today's results, we need to get a win. Let's be honest, we need to get a win anyway. Kick-off at Pittodrie tomorrow is 3 o'clock in the afternoon if you're in the UK. So, after today's results, this is what it means. So Hibs comfortably beating Motherwell, which has done us a favour. But Dundee United getting a late winner away in Paisley today has meant that they are now third. That just a point above us though, just a point. We've got 2 games in hand over them. You can see where Motherwell and Hibs, who are really streaking up the league, we have to keep an eye on people behind us. Tomorrow, we have to get back to winning ways. Hi everybody, how you doing? A very warm welcome to Ali Beg ABTV. I've got no idea what day it is. I've just literally landed in Salzburg about an hour and 15 minutes ago, jumped on the bus, came straight here. I'm a bit in cuckoo land, I gotta be honest. But what I'm absolutely chuffed to bits about is the news that broke while I was on the flight. That Ante Palaversa has signed a 2-year extension to his contract, which I think is like signing a new player. I think that is absolutely brilliant business by the football club, because I must admit, I was getting a little bit troubled that he wasn't going to sign his extension, and I thought we were going to miss a trick with him. You could argue that you could build the team in and around him, and that Yimi wants to build a team in and around Ante Palaversa. It's absolutely fantastic news for the football club. And tonight, I've put him in my starting 11. I'll bring that to you in just a bit. So it's the preview show. You know what to do. Get in touch. Tell us what you're thinking ahead of tomorrow's game against Hearts. We've got to stop this losing streak. And it has to start tomorrow. And my team selection has reflected how I think we need to play tomorrow. We need to play with pace. Because I don't think that Hearts can handle pace at all. And I think if we get at them early and don't let them settle, I think they could crumble quite quickly. But God knows what could happen. We say this week in, week out, particularly for the past 5 weeks, and it's just never happened, has it? We've seen glimpses, but not enough. It's a big game. It's a big week coming up as well, with the midweek game and then the Scottish Cup. So it's vital tomorrow that we get something out of the game. So tonight I'm going to try something a little bit different. And I hope you notice the differences. I'm always very conscious that we need to improve the content here. That we need to do more, because you guys are supporting me and you guys are paying your membership fees and you're coming into the channel with your subscriptions in bundles. So I've become very conscious that we need to improve the content and make things better. So I'm hoping that you see 1 or 2 little changes tonight, which we will develop going forward. So please do get in touch. So Ante Palaversa has come off, obviously, the back of the news this week that we signed 2 other players. Christers Tobers, he would like to be known as Chris. 24 years old, 6'2" in height, captain of the Latvian national team where he's won 37 caps. He's signed until 2028. And I think after getting through his paperwork, I've put him straight into my team tomorrow. And from what I can understand, This boy is a player. We also signed Jeppe Uckels. He's come in loan from Preston North End. Don't forget, he played previously for Jimmy at Elfsborg. He's a winger. Where's his height? There's his height. 6 foot, 25. It was quite interesting in Jimmy's presser that he says that he's trained, but he's not convinced that he'll start tomorrow. So I'm expecting him to possibly come on at some point, but I'll get to that in just a moment. So what I need to do now, because we've got an awful lot on the show this evening, is I need to clear the timeline to get everything in, because it's a busy old show. Man, I'm absolutely cream crackled. Right, okay, so there's your predicted team. Let me find the team for you. I really hope you see what I've done to the team, and I really hope you understand what I've done to the team and my thinking behind it, because I've chucked a little spanner in the works. Right, so there's the team. Right, then we've got Yimmy. So, Yimmy. There he is. And also tonight, something slightly different for you. I'm going to bring you the thoughts of Neil Critchley, the Hearts manager, as well, to see what he has said ahead of our game tomorrow. And this is where I'm looking to improve the service overall, is to start to delve a little bit deeper into our opponents as well. Right, match stats. We'll get that in there. There it is. And a couple of last little items. Special birthday for a very special legend today, which will bring you a little bit later. We'll celebrate that in a wee while. Right, where are we? There we go. Right, so that's now everything on the timeline. I will get to you, don't worry. Right, team news. Brace yourselves. So Ross will obviously take his place between the sticks. Dimitar is out for a wee while and will continue to be out. Now this is where I've played around with the team. So, Nicky at right back, Christos to come straight in, and I'm going to put Sievert beside him with Jack on the left. I've got Ante to start alongside Graham Shinney. Across the middle, I'm going with Toppy, Leighton, and Duke, but we'll put Duke and Toppy on the other side, so we'll swap them. And I'm having Kevin Nisbet playing up top as our lone striker tomorrow. So that's roughly the team that I've predicted for tomorrow. So the reason I've gone with Sievert to play alongside Chris is because I was very impressed with how he played in that position last weekend. And I've got to be honest, even though Angus would be a natural replacement, I can't help but think, and I know the manager said it was tactical, but I can't help but think that a centre-back that gets hooked at half-time, unless he's put a really, really good shift in training this week, I'm not sure Angus will start tomorrow. So, the manager. Now, this video comes courtesy of the football club. So, this is a quote from the press conference that went out on Aberdeen Football Club's socials. And the question was posed about how important the support continues to be at Pittodrie. And this is what Jimmy said.
Like I said before, if you want to create a strong team for a long year by year, you can't give up if you have a challenging time, because it is right now. No one can say that it's not a challenging time. But if you want to create a strong fortress and be stable season by season, that we're aiming to be a European team season by season, no one will give it to you. You have to deserve it. You have to do things better. You have to stay together. You have to build it step by step. And I don't think anyone will give up the season in the middle of the season. It's still a long way to go. And we have to believe that we can do it and stay together and fight for it every day and every game. So I think Pittodrie for me, it means a lot, and it means a lot for everybody around Aberdeen Football Club. And I think we're going to have a good spirit again on Sunday.
Thank you, Jimmy. So this is what Neil Critchley has said, the Hearts manager. The fact that they've not won in 10 makes me very wary. I don't like those stats because eventually they will win at some point. They've got good players. Some of the results, if you look at some of the games, they've just not had the rub of the green. He goes on to say, those moments can go for you and they could go against you. We've seen that in some of our games. There's a fine line between winning and losing, and they've just been on the wrong side of it a little bit. But I think it will be a change from them at some point. Just hopefully not on Sunday, he says. So here's your match stats. So Aberdeen have won their past 9 home league games against Hearts. Hearts have not won at Pittodrie since May 2016. None of the last 22 league meetings between Aberdeen and Hearts have been won by the away side. Aberdeen, as we know, have failed to win in their last 10 games, losing their last 5. Not since December 2010 have the Dons endured a longer league losing streak. The referee tomorrow is Steve McLean. On VAR is John Beaton. Right. So we'll get to the other bits and pieces shortly, but let's start introducing you guys and see how you're doing. Okay. Oh my goodness, it's a busy show. Okay, Richard Mickey McMillan came in first and said, come on you Reds, new energy with the new players, let's do this. Gavin Wilson says, good evening, EFC announced Palaversa, assigned a 2-year extension. Great to have Tobers and Oculus. Pity we haven't got Jensen in or another striker yet. From what I understand, the club are working very, very hard at this at the moment. A lot of people have asked me about Richard Jensen. He can't come back because he's on a season-long loan. He cannot come back. That was part of the deal. So there was no break in the clause to allow him to come back to the club early. So they're looking at, obviously, this left-back, and it's got to be a priority to bring in a striker. Notoriously difficult window to bring in a striker. Saying that, we did it a few years ago with Adam Rooney. So hopefully they can find us a wee gem. Duncan Bain said, glad you made it back safely, Ali. Hope sleeper was not too bad. Big news about extending Palaversa's deal. Have any of you been on that Caledonian sleeper? So I booked a cabin on the way up to Aberdeen on Monday night. It was actually okay. It's a wee bit tight. It's a wee bit rickety. It's a wee bit bumpy. But overall, it was great. It didn't help that I set the fire alarm off just as we were heading into Aberdeen when I was putting my deodorant on. Oh my God, my heart missed a beat or two. Kirstein's on. Hi Kirstein. She says, good evening Ali and fellow dandies. Fantastic news about Palaversa. Let's hope he starts more games now. She came back to say, let's hope we can get Jensen in next, as I feel he will be a great addition to the team. Norman's asking, is there any sign of a striker arriving in this window? Graham Sinclair says that Palaversa has delighted me. The boy is class. Billy Johnson says that's absolutely brilliant news about Palaversa. A statement of intent, I feel. Hopefully it helps boost everybody tomorrow, including our newbies. Gordon Keith says, we have to get back to the form that we had at the start of the season and get back to winning good. Great news on the signings. He would take a 1-0 win tomorrow. Wouldn't we all, Gordon? Gray Pilgrim says, the guys at the back need to give us a clean sheet. Best way to start picking up points. Big game from Duhan tomorrow. David Gold, Rallyvid, says, plenty to digest tonight. Happy birthday to the King of the North, which we'll come to in just a moment. Roddy Keenan says, evening everyone. Excellent news about Palaversa. He's a top player. Neil Mazon also wishing everybody a good evening, as is David Horn. He says he can see us winning tomorrow. Bellamy Eve Anderson has said, hello fellow dandies, on to the game tomorrow. No use papering over cracks. We have simply capitulated since the Cup semi-final against Celtic. Tomorrow we need to start putting on performances and getting the 3 points. Let's do this. Andrew says great news about Palaversa, as does Can't Be Bothered. Kaiser, no doubt, will be absolutely over the moon, as he is. He says hopefully he starts getting a lot more game time. Jim Balfour's on. Hi Jim, thank you for your note earlier, fella. He says, evening all, I'm quite looking forward to tomorrow's game. The new lads have got something to bring to the team. Bruce Struthers says, great to see 2 new signings in and also Palaversa signed up for 2 more years. We just need to play him more now. Neil Strachan is predicting a 3 or a 4-1 win tomorrow, and he thinks Ambrose, Nesbitt, Tobers, Shady Moore and Keskinen will get the goals. Dave B's asking, does anyone know if Tobers is left or right-footed? He is right-footed predominantly, but from what I've been told, also very comfortable on his left. Barry Cole says, evening dandies, happy with the new signing and was surprised that Palaversa signed a new contract. Thought he decided to try somewhere else. Lorraine Baxter's here. She's also delighted with Palaversa. Mark Davidson says, good evening, dandies. Our oldest grandkids, Ryan and Mila, are heading to their first Dons game tomorrow with their dad, John. So let's hope for a win. Stand free. Guys, have an absolutely fantastic day. My kids also had their debut against Hearts a few years ago. That last-minute winner by Ryan Hedges introduced them to Pittodrie. Russell Fraser says, agree about Ante. Also feared that he might not want to stay given his game time. Oh, sorry. I got that stupid league table wrong. I was in a rush doing it. Sorry, guys. Dundee United are 3 points ahead of us, not 1. I'm sorry about that. God damn it. Schoolboy error. Barry Cole says, it's also sad to see Amir leaving the club, but family comes first. Yeah, so our first team coach, Amir, decided that he had to move on due to family reasons. So I'm sure you'll all agree that we wish him nothing but the very best going forward. West Coast Don says, hi Dons, pace and aggression should be a default in a team, so we need to be faster and more aggressive than our opponents. Stephen Cowie says, I feel really positive about tomorrow and think we go back to winning. Nicola Beaton is on, wishing everyone a good evening. Good to see we're doing business early, she says, and not the last day of the window. Heard on the big Saturday football show, McGrath to Hearts. I wonder who that was that said that. Kenneth Merchant is on, wishing everybody a very good morning from a smoky Los Angeles. Kenneth, I hope everyone is safe. I hope you guys are safe and you haven't been too affected by those absolutely awful fires in LA. I hope you're okay, mate. Chilling is on, wishing everybody a good evening. West Coast Dawn is saying great news about Palaversa. Barry Cole said that he would put McGarry in place of McKenzie. Jason Campbell agrees with him. Aberdeen Graham Mack says, this is a must-win for me against the Jambos. Kaiser says, I think we've seen the end of the sellout crowds for this season, not unless the players get their fingers out. Kenneth Merchant says, Nielsen will give away a couple of penalties. He wouldn't start for me, and Duke doesn't deserve to start. He's so inconsistent. All I was thinking about, mate, was just pace. I get we got Shaden. I get that. But I just think that Shaden is more of an impact player. I just don't think he starts games very well. But I take your point, mate. Absolutely. Bruce Strother says, I thought Dante Polvara was good at centre-back during the second half at Motherwell. Worth a punt tomorrow? Yeah, he could well be. West Coast Dawn says, we've got a bad rep for teams on poor runs turning us over. James Brown says, Palaversa signing on further is huge. He says, I'm sure that'll influence other players to stick with the club. Rodney J. Lenny says, just been watching the 40th anniversary show that I did of the 1983 Cup Winners' Cup final. Fantastic show. Thank you, mate. Delighted you enjoyed it. Bruce Strother says, we do need a number 9. Nisbet not cutting it. Sokla out long term. Ambrose looks miles off it. Hopefully, Pappy is back soon. John Bleasdale says, I have a feeling Duke could lead the line tomorrow due to the erratic form of Nisbet and Ambrose not being good enough. Personally, I think he's better as part of a 2 like he was with Miofsky. Thanks, John. Stephen Cowie's asking, what's the update on Pappy? He would give us the firepower up front. So, Stephen, in the boss's press conference, he said that Pappy is back now training, but he's still a good couple of weeks away. That's what he said. Kirsten says there, Pappy possibly back for the Elgin game. Thank you, Rod, for just confirming. Alexander Wallace says, glad to see you made the studio, Ali. Safe travels to all attendees tomorrow. New signings should make the difference. Come on, you Reds. Can't Be Bothered says, has Doohan been offered a new deal? If not, perhaps we should try and sign Clark from Hearts. Mark Leslie makes a good point. He says, I'm currently catching up on the show. You said we need to worry about who's behind us, but I disagree. Right now, we shouldn't be worrying about anyone else but ourselves and our game and what we can do. Absolutely take your point, Mark. Fair point. Right, so as many of you now are wishing Joe Harper a happy birthday, let's get that on. So, Joe was born on this day, 1948, Aberdeen's greatest ever goal scorer, the king of the beach end. In 2 spells of the club, he played 300 games, scoring 199 official goals, which remains a bone of contention to this day. So if you go to the AFC Heritage site, they still have Joe down as scoring 199 goals. Just very quickly, if you are heading to the game tomorrow, don't forget to pick up your copy of Red Match Day. Brilliantly edited as always by Malcolm Panton. Dante on the front. There he is. So, Mr. Harper. What a striker. What a great guy. Absolutely brilliant guy. Lovely, lovely man. Continues to be an ambassador for the football club. Is fantastic in the corporate lounges with all his stories. Just a lovely, lovely man. And remember doing a gig with him and the late Frank McDougall 2 or 3 years ago now in Aberdeen in the Station Hotel. And his stories were absolutely hilarious. And he had everybody in absolute stitches with his stories. So yeah, and what a goal scorer. And by God, could we do with a Joe Harper in our side at the moment. Let's get back to your comments just before we finish off. James Brown says, that's not a bad team you put together there, Ali, but why not include Palaversa? So the reason I didn't include him is because even though he did well at centre-back, I just think he's had to be shoehorned in there last week. And I just think that I think we would lose something by putting him in there. Hence why I decided to go with Nielsen instead to play alongside Tobers. And depending obviously how Ante or how Shinza gets on, for me, Dante is a natural replacement to go in either in right midfield or left midfield, just in front of the back four. So that's why I decided not to go with him to start. Sorry. Barry Cole says that Shayden Morris gets knackered when he starts games. Duncan Bain says, our form and luck must return eventually, and tomorrow it has to be the case. A ball-playing centre-back is not a bad idea. We can't do any worse. Angie Jameson says, good evening all. Great news on Palaversa. Looking forward to seeing the new boys, but let's give them time. Really hope we add the new left-back too. January is such a difficult window. Come on, you Reds. Mark Leslie said, Nielsen is calm on the ball, and if we want to play out from the back, it would make sense to play him at centre-back. Sheep on Fire says, glad with the new signings, but is there any truth in the story that I've heard that there were punches thrown in the Dons dressing room after the semi-final between Nisbet and a couple of other players? Honestly, I have absolutely no idea. But to be honest with you, look, I'll be totally honest with you. I would have absolutely no issues if there was. I've been in dressing rooms, and I'm sure anybody that's played the game, you've been in dressing rooms where words have been exchanged, punches have been thrown, scraps have happened. There's nothing wrong with it, I don't think, as long as you don't end up hurting the person, obviously, and doing damage to the person. Of course not, but a little scrap here and there, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. To me, it shows passion, right? And that's what we need. I think we're lacking a little bit of passion at the moment, and I really hope we find a way to bring it back. So if it means there was a bit of a punch-up, good. So many of you talking about Joe. Sugarland says, I'd go with Nielsen and Tobers for the rest of the season. Palaversa and Polvara in midfield and rotate Shinnie, Clarkson, McGrath around them. Barry said that he was at Joey's testimonial way back in 1980. David Gall says, I've met Joe Harper a couple of times. Him and Lee Miller signed my programme in the corporate hospitality dining room. True legend. Paul Hannon is here. Hi, Paul. He says he's on late tonight, not been well. I hope you're okay, mate. He's not going to be at the game tomorrow. Stephen Cowie makes a great point. Peter Leven has been showing passion at Motherwell. Yes, mate. Absolutely. Great point. Geyser says, and it's a good point. He says there shouldn't be a need for punches if everybody's doing their job. Absolutely. Kenneth Merchant says, maybe you're right, Ali. They're all too happy and comfortable. Shinnie needs to get in their faces on the park. Rodney says, we need new spirit in the team. West Coast Dawn says, could we repurpose Polvara, who's got height and can pass, into becoming a ball-playing centre-back? Granted, needs more aggression. Right, guys, we are done. We've just come up to 27 minutes. So I'm going to call it a night. So we'll be back on Monday with Andrew Budge for the review show, where we'll be putting all the analysis together. Let's hope it's the first time that he's on when we win a game of football. Deary me. So all that's left to say, as always, 24 hours before the game, is the best of luck to the lads tonight. Tomorrow, sorry. Whatever you're thinking, just go into the game positive. I want to see that fight. I want to see that desire. I want to see the passion that was winning us games early in the season. I know that some may argue that, we flattered to deceive at the beginning of the season and that we were scraping wins and all that kind of stuff, which I get and I understand. But we were winning games because we weren't giving up. And that was the big difference for me. Yes, we rode our luck here and there, but we were winning games because we didn't give up. And that's what I'm hoping to see tomorrow. And it has to be a vastly improved performance again. But this time, over a longer spell during the game, not just bits and pieces here and there. So come on, lads. Deary me. Right, enjoy the rest of your Saturday night. Enjoy your day tomorrow. And I'll see you on Monday for the review show. Take good care of yourselves. Stand free.